I was pretty disgusted recently when I was watching the State of Origin / the election campaign that was undertaken. Well, it wasn't really an election, I guess. Well, our PM was decided. In fact, I was sitting next to my own mother while she was getting all frustrated, and I was like, Mum, what's wrong? She says, oh, well, are they going to cross to the State of Origin? I was like, oh, yeah, they are, Mum, they are. They're just deciding our Prime Minister. She was like, oh, yeah, but they are going to cross, aren't they? And then I realised, this is a really well-timed mass distraction. Then I wasn't sure whether I was talking about the sport, the State of Origin, or whether in fact I was talking about what was going on with our own Prime Minister or the leader of our country here in Australia. But I think I digress. What I want to talk about today is in fact what happened in Game 2 at the State of Origin, and how they've trained us into believing that they've got control of how we think here in Australia in regard to training us into the way we behave in our nanny, or as we like to call it across the globe, the police state. And I want to talk about the incident, the stink, or the fight that we actually started to see at the beginning, or about 10 or 15 minutes into the second half. So there you have it. You've effectively seen a guy get smashed in the face, another guy run in to sort of help him. There's a bit of a stink, it all breaks up. And then the referee runs in and he says, well, mate, you copped a hiding, so you get sent off. You ran in to help a mate, which is the Aussie way. Now you get sent off as well for running in to help out. And you, mate, you were just standing around nearby, so you get sent off. So effectively 4 people get incarcerated and sent away from the game for 10 minutes. And what scared me the most is that the referees suddenly had complete power. Not only do they have complete power over who gets incarcerated and who doesn't, off to the sin bin for 10 minutes, but they also had complete power, if you noticed, over the crowd. The crowd was lulled into a sudden quiet. They went quiet and they waited for the game to resume, and then they all sat there and drank out of their plastic cups. Now I remember when men were men and women were women and gays were sitting in the old gum trees like kookaburras or something or other. And anyway, when they were upset at someone getting incarcerated for 10 minutes like Wally Lewis, they grabbed their cans and they threw them on the field, and they didn't let the game resume. I mean, this is when people exercise their freedom. But anyway, that was like way back when I was a boy. And this was when, this was called Lang Park. It was actually named after someone who'd achieved something and not a bank, for God's sake. I was quite disgusted out of the whole thing. And then, of course, it led me on to, well, where does all of this sort of ridiculousness lead to? Well, I'll tell you where it leads to, and I'll do this very quickly. There's a story that just broke in the last couple of days, and that is that New South Wales are now going to bring out things called drunk tanks. That's right. So what they effectively do now is you have this Waterhouse character with his really white teeth. He gets you to spend all your money and effectively lose it at the pub. Then they get you real drunk with their advertising that they stick on the TV while you're watching the footy. Then when you've had your full bootload full, and then when you've had a total skinful and you've lost your money and your wife's going to kill you, they throw you out into the street. Well, you don't have any more money, so you've got to leave. And then the police just order you, like the referees in the football game, mate, you've got to move on. So they can start to become as aggressive as they want to. And remember, they've got tasers, etc. And you're like, mate, just leave me alone. It's Saturday night. I want to do what I want to do. This is my own. I'm a slave. I'm a slave to the Suncorp Bank at Lang Park. I just want to do what I want to do, right? And they will tell you to move on. Now, if you don't move on immediately, they can send you down to these drunk tanks, right, where you have the privilege to then stay there for 10 hours in these cells where you're going to be in danger, and then you get to pay between $200 and $800. That's right, $200 and $800 for the privilege. It's like staying in a really bad hotel with the police watching you and some other drunken idiots, when the reality is it could be exactly like spending time and you're judged by like these referees. What happens if your mate's drunk and you just run in, just like Justin Hodges did, where you just run in to try and help out a mate? The police will say, you didn't move on, you go to the drunk tank as well. But I'm not drunk. Doesn't matter. Blow the whistle, boo it, you're out of here. You go down to the drunk tank. Why? Because we want to get between $200 and $800 a pop out of you. And what about the other guy? Oh, he just came in to find out what the hell was going on because I had a cab waiting. Doesn't matter, mate. You didn't move on, so you'll go down as well. This whole thing is abuse of police power. A total abuse of police power. And that's effectively where we're heading. And it doesn't just end with the police. I've just finished doing a story, and that's a bit why I'm a bit amped up tonight, about this 9-year-old girl who got raped by her own father. That's right, raped by her own father until she was 19. And the mother sat around and watched. And what happened? She went to court. The father pleads guilty. He pleads guilty for doing it for 10 years, raping his own daughter while the mother sat around and watched. And the magistrate, another form of social referee, he gives the guy a good behaviour bond and just lets him walk out the door. Now, this is what I want to ask you. Do we really want to take away our own power? Our own love for humanity, because we're the only ones who have it. Believe me, it is obvious by these two examples that if you give the police the power, they're going to abuse it. We've seen with this magistrate, by allowing someone who's admitted that they're guilty of raping their own daughter for all of these years, and then the only punishment as a society that we give them is a good behaviour bond. There is something sick and twisted with the hierarchy. And I think, look, this is brazy, I think something needs to be done. And it's only going to come from the heart and soul of you and me. Those that have bothered to wake up. Look, magistrates letting off pedophiles, police sticking people in drunk tanks, refs not knowing what we're doing. What's going to happen next? I'll tell you what's going to happen next. We've got to have a revolution. This is brazy. Love to hear your opinion.